Hi, I'm Paul Stanford.
What's your
Oh, I have several titles.
I know,
so
I
the
know
one
that.
I make money at and that pays my bills right now and for all these years has been as the president and founder of THCF Medical Clinics. And so we have helped altogether over 230,000 people get medical marijuana permits across the United States, about 90,000 in the past year. Historically, we've worked in 11 different states. In the past year, we've worked in 6 different states.
Wow.
Historically, we've worked in 65 different cities, and in the past year, about 40 cities. What we do is we have doctors who help patients get medical marijuana permits. And so the fact that back in 2010, the state of Oregon began issuing permits to out-of-state patients has opened up an additional side business for us, where the fact that somebody has an Oregon permit, in some cases, like Wisconsin, they've adjudicated that those patients are protected under Wisconsin law. And so, in addition to having an out-of-state permit, there's reciprocity. So not only are you covered when you get the Oregon Supreme Court ordered the health department to issue any resident of the United States, any legal resident, a permit, if they have an Oregon physician, fill out an attending physician form, and that patient pays the state of Oregon Health Authority.
Do you have to have a? Do you have to be present to get the evaluation, or can you do that over the internet?
We have to take the blood pressure and the pulse, and actually at some point meet in person.
So it involves a trip to Oregon?
Well, no, not necessarily. For instance, I went to Wisconsin last week, and our doctor went there, and we saw 48 patients.
Oh, so a doctor licensed in Oregon can come around the country? And
well, no, they have to be also licensed in the state that they're practicing.
Oh, okay.
They can't just do it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You know, come to Wisconsin, and you know, every state is different. If you look at the way physicians and attorneys are licensed here in the United States, if you have a license in one state, you can't practice medicine without getting a license in that state. You go over to the European Union, if you have a license to practice medicine in Poland, you can practice medicine in Spain or France.
So all we need is a doctor licensed in Oregon and New York,
and the state,
and we can start setting up a referral system right
now. And that's
here.
Exactly what I'm doing. That's why I've been.
Have you got a doctor here in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? I want to go see him right now.
I can't quite do it yet.
Okay.
I can't quite do it yet. That's been the way that I've made money since basically.
Right. Well, that sounds like a huge revenue stream.
It's a $4 million a year business right now.
Wow.
And so we have just, in fact, signed all the agreements and just about finished with the audit. I've got going to talk with this Detroit audit firm to finish up some of the last few details. We're going public. We're going to have a OTC offering, and our stock is going to be traded under THCF.
Can I get some stock now before it splits?
I can tell you, and you can get it at par value through E-Trade or whoever. If you got a broker, I could tell you and get you lined up for whatever you want to do. But you know, for us, it's out there and being traded. We bring in $5 million in investment capital on the OTC or over the counter. They call it the penny stock market, and so it's not a huge offering, but selling 30% of the company. And
how much have you raised doing that?
$5 million. Well, at the end, we're bringing in another $5 million, but they gave us to start $550,000, which $90,000 went to the attorneys, $60,000 to the auditors. We got $400,000. And so who's
they? Who gave you?
It's a Canadian capital company, Orange Capital. Actually.
All right, you just got an investment firm back.
Yeah. Well, what happened is.
Do you know the lay of the land with all these big whales with all this money now?
Exactly. There's a green rush. So what happened, I didn't go looking for it. I set the business up to eventually become publicly held, because that's the only way you can really grow rapidly is to access that sort of money, you know. And it's the way to diffuse ownership, so you're not dealing with one angel investor all the time. But so I set it up as a C corporation in the state of Nevada. I started it as a nonprofit. The state of Oregon oversees nonprofits. Every different state has a department of their justice department that oversees nonprofits. About 2004, they said, well, this clinic business doesn't seem like a nonprofit purpose. The fact that you're taking in a fee and they're paying to see the doctor, and Now, at the same time, just solely in the state of Oregon, I've grown and given away free marijuana. The Charitable Activities Division of Oregon's Justice Department says that that is a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. So back as of January 1st, 2012, I resisted it for a while, even though I shouldn't have. Right. I divested the Oregon nonprofit, which is the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, on paper with the approval of all the regulatory agencies, and set it up as a C corporation in the state of Nevada, with the idea it would become public. But I didn't go out and actively seek public investment. I knew that, you know, you make a profit over a period of time, your company's valuable. And we do about a 20% profit margin, even with, and I put a lot of that into politics.
That's
helpful. And $150,000 a year I put into growing and giving away free marijuana. I've been able to grow and give away about 400 pounds of free marijuana a year for the past 12 years. 9 years ago...
You must be popular.
Especially with sick and dying patients. A lot of my patients have died. You know, I give it to people who are licensed. I give a little bit to my, you know, people I like and friends too. But mainly, the vast majority of it goes to very sick patients who have a permit to get that cannabis. But I'll show you this paper. I'll show you what an Oregon permit looks like. And actually, this is my caregiver card for my most famous patient. Did I show you this before? I can't recall. I showed it a lot. Yeah. So this is the permit, and I have his permission to make this public. For, let's see, I know this is last year's. Let's see, this year's. Yeah, this is this year's. This is the permit and has me as a caregiver for Willie Nelson. It says Willie Nelson.
Whoa.
Right up there. And then this is for, I think that's his wife Annie, right?
Right.
Annie. No, that's his sister Bobby, who plays piano in his band. She calls her little sister, but she's actually a couple years older. This is his wife Annie. So not only do I do it for them, and this is the year before, and this is the year before that.
I imagine I got comped, huh?
Yeah, well, you know, he's paid us some money, but I have an agreement with him now to help him develop Willie weed strains. And so we're working to develop Willie weed strains with some New York investors. Which is
everybody's trying to get in on the celebrity weed angle now.
Everybody is.
Everybody wants Snoop Dogg, too.
Yeah. Well, Willie's working with some very high-power financiers here in New York City. Really? To develop those, yeah. And so the same group that backed Magic Johnson to buy the LA Dodgers.
Wow.
And almost bought the Los Angeles basketball team that was just up. Not the Lakers, but that other one. Whose name escapes me. I'm not a big NBA guy. But anyway, so I first met Willie back in 1990, about the same time I met you.
Yeah, me too. I was there on Willie's bus back then. Weren't you there?
Kentucky, there at the, that's what was that, the Hyatt?
We was doing that show outside Austin for TV with...
well, Gatewood Galbraith, remember? He drove his car.
Well, that's the first time I met at Gatewood's thing. That's the first time I met
Gatewood
Willie.
I
have the hat Willie gave me from that day.
Cool. About a month and a half before that, I got a call from Gatewood saying, Willie Nelson's going to call you. At that time, I really wasn't much into country music. I knew he was, you know, already an icon at that point. And so about 2 weeks after that, I got a call, and Willie was touring with the Highwaymen, which is a country music supergroup with Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, and Waylon Jennings. So I went down to a local Portland hotel and went out to the bus and hung out with Willie, actually more at that point than I ever have since. But I rolled joints about
That's before he got wiped out by the IRS.
It was just before the IRS.
Because they came down right after that.
Well, you know, Don Fiedler, who was the head of Normal at that time, had me fly into Austin, and that was the day that Willie was busted by the IRS. The very day I was flying in with Fiedler.
I was there right after the bus went down.
To meet Willie Nelson in Austin. and talk further about it, the IRS cracked down on him. Then I didn't really have any contact with him for a long, long time. About 2007, some people on his crew contacted me and said, we want to get medical marijuana permits. And so I came, and Willie at that time didn't want to get a medical marijuana permit. They said he's an outlaw, he doesn't want to do it. And so, but apparently, like 2000, so I got them permits for his guitarist, his bass player, his harmonica player, Mickey Raphael, and a lot of other people in the tour, his road people. And so they got stopped in 2011, I think it was, in Arizona. And that was just when the Arizona law had gone into effect. And the fact that the road people had that card, and they have reciprocity to recognize these out-of-state permits. That's one of the things that I mentioned. You have reciprocity in Michigan, Maine, Rhode Island, Arizona, and ironically, Washington, D.C. So if you have an out-of-state permit from any state, then you're covered in Michigan, Maine, Rhode Island, Arizona, and Washington, D.C. But they got stopped in Arizona, and so then they said, Willie wants to get a card now. I don't know what happened in Arizona, but they had me fly down to Las Vegas, and they paid for these services. Right. And went to when they were opening the Smith Center for the Performing Arts. So I got to hang out with some other cool people. But anyway, we helped Willie and his wife and his sister get a card then, in addition to everybody on the tour. And so that's how I got into that.